I don't want to expand the playoffs either. But when Texas and Oklahoma join the SEC, we could be looking at a year where 3 or maybe even 4 of the best teams are all in the same conference, but only 2 could make it. That feels wrong. What are your thoughts? Lou, you want to know my thoughts on the playoff, huh? My thoughts when Texas and OU get to the SEC, as it relates to the playoff, are the same as my thoughts on the playoff right now. I don't really care about it. But I know that's my personal feel. So in order to do this question justice, I think I need to take my own heart and I need to set it over here, and I probably need to answer in a more generic fashion. Actually, let me give you one more personal take. You know what? When Texas and Oklahoma are here, you are dead on the money accurate about this. And when they get in the conference, even more so, you'll have years where you absolutely have a handful of the best teams in the country in the same conference. What this is going to do for me, personally, is it's just going to make me value the SEC championship game more. Now, how the rest of the country handles that is their business. But to me, like I remember when I was growing up, I would watch the Atlanta Braves play 162 regular season games, right? And a lot of times in the Bobby Cox years, when they were winning 14 straight division titles, they'd end up running away with their division. And they'd have far and away the best record in baseball, and they'd coast the last month of the year. And then they'd play like a red-hot wild card team in the first round of the playoffs that had to crawl over broken glass to get in, and they get knocked out in the first round. Well, did that tell me that wild card team was the better team? It didn't tell me that. It told me they were the hotter team. The 162-game season was the truest test to me of who the best team is. Well, think about what the SEC schedule is going to be. That it's not 162, fortunately, but the 8 or 9 or 10, whatever they choose it to be, game conference schedule, and then being able to get through that and making it to Atlanta and winning the SEC championship, there's going to come a time in the not too distant future where at least I look at that, and there may be a year where I say, I think I value the SEC championship more than the playoff because I see a larger collection of the best teams in the country. I know people in Columbus, Ohio recoil at that because Ohio State fans say, it doesn't matter which teams you have down there. We're going to still be one of the best in the country. I don't doubt that. Ditto, any given year in places like Michigan or places like USC, places like Oregon. I don't doubt that at all. What I'm telling you is the totality of the schedule that you'll have to play down in the SEC, especially once those two get here, makes everything else pale in comparison. So that's the way I'm going to look at it. Now, for the SEC's stance in all this, this explains to you why we are where we are. Well, let me rephrase, why you are where you are with the conference and playoff expansion and all that stuff. I've largely stayed out of this because I don't care about the playoff to begin with, but a lot of you guys who want playoff expansion and thought you had it, all of a sudden the rug got pulled out from under you, and you found out that it turns out not everyone was on board with everyone else's requirements. And then the more you hear about it, the more you hear Greg Sankey in the SEC saying, we want an expanded playoff, but we don't really need one. This thing's been okay to us as it is. His requirement was what? His requirement was, we want to go to 12 teams, but whatever model we go to, our requirement in the SEC is you have at least as many at-large spots as you do auto bids. Translation, my conference is already the toughest in America. It's about to get a whole lot tougher, whether you knew it at the time or not, with OU and Texas joining. This is going to be a total meat grinder of a schedule. We got bigger stadiums than most anyone. We got more high-caliber athletes than most anyone, better teams, better coaches than almost anyone. I am not going to penalize my conference by locking ourselves into a contract where a maximum of only a couple of them can make your precious playoff. No, 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 no. You're going to have an opportunity. If you want me to sign on the dotted line for this playoff contract, you're going to give me the opportunity to get multiples of these teams in. Because any given year, maybe I don't have just 1 or 2 of the best 12 in the country. Maybe I got half a dozen of the best 12 in the country. You're going to put my best teams in, or I'm not going to sign off on your playoff because, newsflash, the current format's already working pretty well for us anyway. And if you need further proof, why don't you hit the rewind button about 3 months and watch 2 of my teams play for the national championship about a month after they played for my conference championship. Signed, XOXO, Greg Sankey. I endorse that line of thinking, only I would go a step further and say, you know what, forget it, we're staying at 4. Nay, we may want to go back to 2. That would be me. but you know how it is. So I just think when they get to the SEC, I think a lot of folks are going to have to see it before they understand how they feel about it. But I think there may be an opportunity for you down the road to watch that conference and say to yourself, dude, the playoff, I still want to watch it and everything, but look at what the SEC schedule is compared to what the rest of the country plays. And then you're going to reason in your own mind how you value their conference championship versus what their teams do in the playoff. I just think to myself, with a conference that loaded, I may just inflate my value of the conference championship more than I really care what the playoff format is. That's just me, though.